Hi everyone. So for those of you who don't know my story, I will try to make a very long story very short. Um, Starting when I moved to Sweden from Brazil, and that was 17 years ago. 1 year after that, I got married, and I was married for 12 years, and I divorced 5 years ago. But before I got divorced, I was in this very long relationship. The last 6 years, it was very bad. It was just fight after fight, and I got very depressed, and I was totally confused and lost. I was studying a biomedical program to become a researcher in neurology. But I was feeling totally lost and depressed for first time in my life. And that was when I came in contact with some Buddhistic teachings. I started listening a lot to different Buddhist monks and started trying to meditate. And in the beginning was very difficult for me because I was a very restless person. I was very agitated. And I couldn't bring myself to calm down, and it was quite frustrating, but I kept going on, kept trying and learning more and more about different meditation techniques, as well as listening to different different teachings and reading about it as well. And finally I decided that I had to divorce, that the relationship I was living was not good for me, for my daughter, or for the person I was involved with. I was, as I said, by that time living in Sweden for already 12 years, and all of my family was and still is in Brazil. So I was kind of alone here with my daughter, and I didn't had a job. I didn't had anything. I was just studying, so I had to quit my studies. I had to find a job, find an apartment, and move. And I did everything very fast. From that moment when I decided, when I felt like that was what I needed to do, within a few days, I found apartment, I found a job, and I got my stuff packed. Most just my books and clothes that I took with me, and I moved to a very small apartment with my daughter and started working in Denmark. And I had to pause my study, and even though I was very happy, I felt very good with the decision I had made. I knew it was the right decision, and I enjoyed my job as well. I was quite frustrated with the fact that I had to stop my studies, because I always wanted, since a very small child, to work with something where I felt like I helped people, where I helped relieve their pain somehow. And by that time, I thought that was the only way, like through medical studies and medical care. But I was still able somehow to keep my calmness because I was meditating a lot. But then, of course, as Joseph Campbell talked about in The Hero's Journey, it came the dark night of the soul. So first it started like with me, my ordinary life, married and studying, and then getting the wake-up call that was not the right thing for me, that I was meant to be doing something else and living in a different way, and then taking that step. But then once I took that step, I refused to see that there was more things I needed to change in my life. And suddenly a lot of people that were very important for me and that I loved started dying around me. First, my father, and it was very suddenly, like he got diagnosed with cancer, and 2 months later he died. And then my best friend in Sweden, also very young, 30 years old, died also of cancer 2 months later. And then my grandmother, and then you just started kept going, like, and I just tried to keep going, because I knew if I would stop, I would have to like deal with those emotions, and it would maybe be too much. So I tried to keep working, and not really stopping, but suddenly it was just too overwhelming and I had some kind of like breakdown, and and I stopped and thought like, okay, but what have I learned through all this time in those Buddhistic teachings, through my meditations, that I cannot run from myself, I cannot run from problems, I have to deal with my emotions, I have to, and that I have the tools also within me and around me that I can reach for to deal with those emotions. So I started like doing a lot of internal work. Um, talked with like some coaches. I talked with some also Buddhist monks that offer like online sessions, and I kept doing my meditation. I was reading really much self-help books and trying to do yoga, qigong, like really trying to help myself in all ways I could. And it was not an easy process at all, but I started feeling better and better. And as I started feeling better, I started understanding that the way I was meant to help others was not just like through medical studies, but that it was also just as important to teach people how to live a less stressful life, less anxious and more present, and how to deal with those difficult emotions and experiences, how to heal from their traumas, and also like how to let go of thought, behaviors and patterns that were no longer serving them, serving their life purpose, or how to find their life purpose, how to become in contact with themselves, how to find that place of silence within, so that you can actually hear what your soul is telling, or what yourself really wants for you. And how to deal like with anxiety, with fear, with stress. And I started trying to get the tools to help other people as well, as I got helped by so many others. And the tools that I found most helpful, it was meditation as well as NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, um, which is a technique of reframing your thought patterns and your way of seeing and seeing yourself, and interpreting what happened to you and what happens around you through different techniques. So I did some courses in both in meditation, because even though I had meditated for very many years already, it still is a bit different to teach other people. So I did a course on that, and I did a course in neuro-linguistic programming, um, and I put that together with the studies I had from the university as well in neuropsychiatry, to try to find a set of tools that could maybe help others as well. So that's what I do now. I teach people how to meditate and how to find which kind of meditation best suits them, because there are a lot of meditations and some doesn't fit for some people and they need to find another one that better suits them. So I try to help them with that. And in some cases it works better for some people, a combination of meditation and NLP. For some, maybe they prefer just doing NLP, maybe they're more practical people, they want like just tools directed. And it can be like to change addiction, like if you have problems with addiction and you want to break free from that, it's possible that you needed to start by first understanding which representational system that has led to that addiction or to that problem and to that difficult that you are facing, which beliefs and values and thought process or actions that led to that. It can be like to finally get the courage to leave that job that you feel is not making it well for you, or to leave the relationship that you feel you are stuck in, but you don't have the courage to leave as well. Whatever it is that you are. Also, one more thing I forgot to mention was some months ago when I was in France, I got a heat stroke, and I got memory loss, and I didn't know where I was, and I had to go to the hospital. And when I was there, they found out that I had an aneurysm in my carotid, in the artery in my neck, an aneurysm. And at first, of course, that was quite shocking and scary and a bit difficult. But thankfully, all those techniques I have learned and all the tools I have now within me and around me, and the support group I have, my friends, family, it has been so much easier than it would have been some years ago to deal with that. Now, among all of this, I feel so peaceful, I feel so calm, and of course, sometimes I maybe think a bit about it, and maybe not as pleasant thought, but I feel so much trust in myself, in the healing power of my own body, of my mind. I study a lot also about epigenetics and the power that our thoughts has in our body and in our health, as well as our alimentation, what we eat, our diet, and our habits, our life habits, mentally, physically, nutritional, and all of this has helped me incredibly. So if you're going through anything difficult, just don't hesitate and let me know.